What's going on, guys? This is Lior and welcome back to my channel. So at this point, if you're a real estate agent and you're not shooting content, right, video content, I have no idea what you're doing, right? It still baffles my mind that there's still realtors out there that are not using video as one of their pivotal sources of business and a way to grow their brand within their marketplace. Now, there's different types of content you could be shooting and different ways to distribute it, right? There's plenty of different platforms, different types of ways to structure it, edit it. So what I thought I would do in this video is go over some of the basic types of structures of content that you can shoot across all platforms, and then actually talk about distribution methods across the different platforms and give you my thoughts on what I've seen to be the most successful. So with that, let's get at it. What's going on, guys? My name is Lior and welcome back to my channel. Now, before I get into the meat and potatoes of the video, super quickly, guys, if this is your first time on my channel, first of all, welcome. Second of all, make sure you smash that subscribe button for me. I'm putting out tons of new videos every single week, giving you guys tips on how to build your business, your brand as a realtor and real estate agent, as well as tips on building out your wealth, right? Because it's great to build out a business, but we have to be building out your wealth simultaneously as well. So with that, as I said, I wanted to talk about content and distribution of content, right? Again, if you're not shooting content today, I'm not really sure this is the video for you. I mean, you're in a different mindset. You have to be shooting content to stay relevant today. There's just no ifs, buts, and around it. So in terms of types of content, let's talk about that first. I think you can kind of bucket the different types of content that you can shoot. So the first bucket of content that I would be shooting and that I do shoot myself is neighborhood overview content, right? So this is essentially a video on you talking about and explaining different neighborhoods, cities around your area, the amenities they carry, transportation options, lifestyle options, convenience, shopping, all that good stuff, right? And there's two main ways of doing it. You can either actually hop on the ground and into the city and kind of film yourself within the city. That's a very, very effective way because you're obviously on the ground and you can really show it on video. Or the second one, maybe not as effective from a video perspective, is shooting content about cities from the comfort of your home, right? It's a lot easier and you don't have to like drive in and out and all that, but you can certainly bang it out a lot easier and a lot faster than actually driving around within the city. Another type of bucket I would do is the content and video on specific buildings, right? And especially if you live in, let's say, big cities, right? So I'm in Boston. I would literally highlight different condo buildings, condo projects, luxury apartments, right? And if you can highlight those, go over them, the amenities, how they differ from other buildings or available units, I think that's real good value, right? Because if you think about it, there's probably tons of people searching about these buildings, what they offer, how they're different from other offerings, right? So being an expert in that is absolutely key. If you're not in the city, you can still probably get creative, right? You can probably do overviews on developments, right? Maybe there's like large single family or townhome developments where you are. And again, giving the overviews about the development, what's different about it, the location of it, anything to just kind of help and provide value for people that are potentially searching for that kind of living and lifestyle. The next category of items you can shoot video on is basically other facts and tips on living within your city, neighborhood, area, whatever, right? And this can basically be content on typical expenses, right? Like what does it cost to live here? Not only from like rents and mortgages, but like, utilities, cable, going out for food, drinks, all that good stuff, transportation. You could do pros and cons of different areas, talk about school systems. Maybe some areas have better like parks and outdoor spaces. So basically just going into the details of what the lifestyle expectations are, how they differ from one place to the next, and really getting ingrained in that, right? Because again, if you think about it, if a buyer or someone is searching, about moving potentially to an area, those are going to be the questions they have. And finally, the last category of kind of content you can shoot is tips for buyers on things like what it's like buying single family homes, the differences with condos, as well as investment properties, right? And obviously, as realtors, we have a plethora of knowledge about that. You can literally spill this out in so many different ways. talk about mortgages, talk about things to look for, numbers, different types of properties, et cetera, right? That's probably the easiest one for us as realtors, right? Because that's literally what we talk about almost every single day. Now, in terms of content distribution, you have multiple ways of getting this content out. If you guys seen my channel, if you see my other videos, you know I am huge on YouTube and long form content, right? But a lot of this depends on where you think your audience is and where you think that audience hangs out. So my particular audience, I kind of go for, kind of more younger, techie people, because I'm all about YouTube. That's where I learn a lot of my stuff, and that's where I hang out. So that's where I think a lot of my audience hangs out as well, right? So that's why I put most of my content out on YouTube. I think it's also great for long-term search engine optimization, right? Because I think, YouTube's going to be around forever and people are going to continue to ask these same questions over and over again. Now, other places you can, of course, distribute your content. Again, will depend on where your audience is and where you think they hang out. So, for example, you can potentially have your audience hang out on Instagram. So Instagram could be another great place to distribute this kind of content. Now, the difference between Instagram versus YouTube, for example, let's talk about it, is obviously YouTube is much more longer form content, whereas Instagram tends to be shorter, right? You're not necessarily putting out 10, 15-minute videos on Instagram. On Instagram, your videos tend to be a little bit shorter, a little bit snippier, but they kind of need to be a little bit more eye-catching typically than YouTube, right? Whereas YouTube, you kind of have more longer dialogue-driven, which may not necessarily stand out as much on Instagram. Another place you can, of course, go to would be Facebook. On Facebook, you can certainly do different types of lengths of content. But again, just depends on where you think your audience lives. If you think a lot of your majority of your audience is on Facebook, then certainly Facebook becomes a great place to distribute that content. You can do shorter form content, or you can try to put longer form content on there. And finally, the last platform I'll mention, that's kind of obviously gaining a lot of popularity, has been TikTok. Now, TikTok, of course, is much shorter form content than anything like YouTube or anything like that. But again, if you think your audience lives there, which for a lot of you guys certainly can be the case, right, that would be a great place to distribute the content, and you would kind of deliver the content accordingly with that platform, right? So I'm obviously no TikTok expert. I've done one or two of those in the past, but there's obviously different structures and different ways to deliver TikTok content versus something that you might deliver on Instagram or YouTube. Now, there's certainly ways to repurpose it, right? And that's one of the things I'm working on as well. A lot of my YouTube content, I try to kind of snip up and put on Instagram. But you can also you can cross between other platforms as well, right? You can put on content that you put on TikTok and actually repurpose that on Instagram. Instagram and Facebook, of course, are also repurposable. So you can get creative, and you should get creative about the different ways you're delivering the content, right? Now, as long as you're talking about those general categories of content, I think you're gonna be fine. As long as you deliver the content the right type of way on the right type of platform, right? But ultimately, you need to be doing this and you need to be distributing this on a consistent basis, or otherwise you are gonna be, I think, pulled out of the market, right? I think today it's just so imperative with most of the searches being done online and on social media, right? And I'm not even talking about ads buy a home here or anything like that, but mainly just people searching and getting kind of into that exploratory phase. If you can dominate your brand, if you can dominate on social media, it is going to be absolutely huge for your business. I've grown out my business where I'm almost completely relying on YouTube today, right? That's where I get almost all of my business today, right? So make sure you pivot. If you're not doing that right now, hop on the trend because it's here to stay. And if you're not gonna do it now, you are probably gonna be out of the business pretty quickly. So if you guys have any questions about any of that, make sure you put them in the comments below, and I will definitely help you